You've probably heard the story of Pandora's box, right? Or, well, actually, it was a jar. It's that classic myth about all the evils in the world being unleashed. But the most important part of that story, what was left inside that jar, is also the part we almost always get wrong.
So here's the twist. We all celebrate the fact that one thing, hope, was left behind. We see it as our saving grace. But what if that's not the story at all? What if hope wasn't a gift, but the most terrible thing in the jar?
To really get what was left in that jar, we have to back up a little. We have to understand why Pandora was even created in the first place. You see, she wasn't some happy accident. She was an act of pure revenge. After the Titan Prometheus stole fire for us mortals, a furious Zeus cooked up a punishment that humanity could never, ever escape. Zeus's goal was to create what the poet Hesiod called a beautiful calamity. Just think about that phrase for a second. Something so beautiful, so alluring, that we would willingly walk into our own destruction. And that beautiful calamity was Pandora, the very first woman. She was this incredible divine collaboration. In fact, her name, Pandora, literally means all gifted. Hephaestus, the smith god, molded her. Athena dressed her. Aphrodite gave her this irresistible charm. But here's the thing. These weren't gifts for her. They were bait. And the final, nasty little touch came from Hermes, the trickster god, who gave her, and I quote, the mind of a dog and a thievish nature. It was a perfect, deadly trap.
And make no mistake, the poet Hesiod is super clear about this. From the moment she was conceived, Pandora was designed to be, in his words, an inescapable and hopeless stratagem. The trap was officially set.
All right, so now we get to the two mortals at the heart of this whole cosmic trap, the brothers Prometheus and Epimetheus. And honestly, their names tell you everything you need to know. You've got Prometheus, whose name literally means forethought. This guy sees the future, right? He knows what Zeus is capable of, and he warns his brother point blank, whatever you do, don't ever accept a gift from Zeus. But then you have his brother Epimetheus, and his name? Afterthought. He's the guy who acts first and thinks, well, way later. And true to his name, he was so completely captivated by Pandora that he forgot all about that warning and welcomed her right in. And that's the tragedy of being Mr. Afterthought, isn't it? Regret always shows up way too late. Epimetheus only realized what a horrible mistake he'd made once that beautiful calamity was already in his home. The damage was done.
So Pandora is in the house, the trap is sprung, and the stage is set for the moment that is going to change humanity forever, the opening of that infamous jar she brought with her.
Now you gotta remember, what was on the line here? Hesiod tells us that before this moment, people lived a pretty sweet life. No backbreaking labor, no sickness, no real suffering. It was a time of peace, and it was all about to come crashing down. And then she lifted the lid, and in an instant, just like that, countless evils just exploded out of that jar. Sickness, sorrow, pain, poverty, you name it. They scattered all over the world, filling every nook and cranny of the land and sea.
And if that wasn't bad enough, Hesiod throws in this absolutely chilling detail. Zeus had made these evils silent. They had no voices, so they could creep up on people day or night without making a sound. You could never see them coming. This wasn't just about punishment, it was psychological torture, all part of Zeus's cruel plan.
So, in a total panic, Pandora slams the lid shut. But it's too late. Everything's already out. Well, almost everything. There was one thing left behind. And what remained inside that jar is the greatest puzzle of this entire myth, the enigma of what the Greeks called elpis. Now, we usually translate elpis as hope, but, and this is a huge but, in ancient Greek, the word was way more ambiguous. It could mean hope, sure, but it could also just mean expectation, and that could be for something good or bad. So the big question is, why was this one thing left behind in a jar that was packed with evil? So the story we tell ourselves today is pretty comforting, right? Hope was the one good thing left behind, a little consolation prize to help us get through all the suffering. But if you actually look at how the ancient Greeks themselves talked about hope, a very, very different and much darker picture starts to take shape. Let's go right to the source, Hesiod himself, the guy who gave us this whole story. In another one of his works, he actually calls the hope of an idle man an evil hope. So right there, from the original storyteller, we see that hope isn't automatically a good thing. It can be a dangerous delusion. Another poet, Pindar, took it even a step further. He said that hope is a shameless force that literally ties up a person's limbs. It's not freeing, it's a shackle that stops you from actually dealing with your problems.
And then you have the philosopher Chrysostom, who used this incredibly powerful metaphor. He compared hope to a fetter, like a chain, on a person's foot. It doesn't set them free, no. It binds them to their suffering, making them endure it by dreaming of some escape that might never ever come.
So, where does that leave us? Was this Elpis thing, this hope, left in the jar a comfort, a gift to save us, or was it actually the final, most twisted part of the curse? This leaves us with two totally different ways to look at this whole thing. On one hand, you have the comforting view, hope is a light in the dark, the one good thing that helps us survive all the bad stuff. But then, there's the cursed view, which is actually much more aligned with ancient Greek thinking. It's the idea that hope is the final calamity, the last and most clever evil, the one that traps us in our suffering by making us expect a better future that isn't guaranteed.
And that's the genius of this ancient myth, right? It doesn't hand you an easy answer. Instead, it leaves us with a question that's just as powerful today as it was thousands of years ago. It forces you to ask yourself, in your own life, when things get tough, is the hope you feel a comfort that truly helps you, or is it a curse that blinds you to reality? The jar is closed, but that debate is wide open.